So this video is on notes for ambiguous case, okay? Um, I'm going to be going over this in class, but this is just in case you missed anything. So ambiguous case. And this is when we're dealing with side angle, okay? And this is when we're using law of sides, okay? So this is with law of sines. And so what can happen, and I showed this on a video for the assignment. I'm just going to kind of reshare just so you guys see that you can have more than one triangle. So let me just get that for you guys. So again, this is showing that side angle can end up with two triangles, okay? So here are two sides that I know, and this angle here, A, is not in between the two sides. So these two sides are joined here. This angle I do not know here at B, okay? And as I move this here, I can have it hit up here, or I can come around this way and have it hit down here. And you'll see here, I'll get a smaller triangle. Let me do the same thing. I'll put P here, okay? And again, I'll grab R, same size as the other one, just change the letters. And instead of going like this, which formed the one that you see in blue, I can go like this. Again, the same side measures, but this angle right here is changing because it's not set. This angle over here is set, and this side length are set. So it can either hit here or here. So we can possibly get more than one triangle, okay? That's why we have this ambiguous case, when we have side angle. So when we're doing this law of sides, you can end up with two different triangles like the picture that I just showed you. You can end up having one triangle only, that's possible, or you might end up having zero triangles. So you can end up with any of three of these cases when you have side angle. So I'm going to go through one of each. Okay, so the first one, let's say that for this example, we want to find angle B, okay, the measure of angle B, and let's say that this is A, this is B, this is C, and we are going to have this one be 30 degrees every time in the three examples. And I'm going to keep this as a 16 in all three of my examples. And I am going to be changing this side up here, okay? This one, let's say that this is 10. And so I've got angle side or side angle, and we want to find this angle right here. So again, we could end up with more than one situation depending on how this is swinging, okay? If it swings this way versus if I swung it the other way, and then it's going to come in a little closer possibly. Okay, so since I have a situation where I have this angle, okay, and this side across it, I have a pair, I'm going to be using law of sines. So I am going to be doing sine of 30 degrees over 10 equals sine of B, which I'm trying to find, over 16, cross multiply. I get 10 sine B is equal to 16 sine 30 degrees. I am going to divide both sides by 10. So I'm going to get sine B is equal to 16 times sine of 30 degrees divided by 10. And again, I want to find the angle measure. So that means that to find B, I'm going to be taking sine inverse of this, 16 sine 30 degrees over 10. And I'm going to put that in my calculator. And when I do, again, make sure your calculator is always in degrees. I'm going to have sine inverse. I'm going to do alpha y equal 16 sine 30 over 10. And I'm going to end up getting 53.13 degrees. Okay, so 53.13 degrees. This is one possibility for B. Now, to find other possibility, what you're going to do is you're going to take this angle that you just found and go 180 minus it. So to find other possible B, I'm going to take 180 minus what we just found here, which is 53.13. And when I do that, okay, 180 minus, let me just snag this, and I end up with 126.87. So 126.87 degrees. Now, before I decide whether this is my other possible B, I need to make sure that when I take this and this together, I don't get more than 180. And when I take 126 plus this, I still have enough left over for that angle C, okay? Because when I add these together, I end up with 156. So that means that this is your other B, and it could be 126.87 degrees. So in this case, we end up having two possibilities. So we end up having two possible triangles for this one. Now the next one, I'm going to keep everything the same, but I'm going to change this number. And let's see how that changes this. So again, I'm going to find angle B. And like I said, I'm going to keep this A. We'll call this one C. We'll call this one B. And this is going to be 30 degrees again. Over here, this is going to be 16. And this time, instead of this being a 10, let's make this into a 20 and see what happens. So this one's going to be a little longer than the one was up here. And so again, you want to pay attention that we have opposite sides. Meaning, well, I shouldn't say opposite sides, the angle and the side opposite it. So if I have this pair and I know this and I'm trying to find this, which is opposite it, I'm going to use law of sines. Okay, so I am going to, again, set up sine of 30 degrees over 20 equals sine of B over 16, cross multiply and solve. So 20 sine B equals 16 sine 30 degrees. Divide by the 20, so I'm going to get sine B equals 16 sine 30 over 20. And to find B as opposed to sine B, I need to take the sine inverse of this, 16 sine 30 over 20. And let's see what we get. Okay, so I'm going to come up and snag this. And I need to change this to a 20. And I get a 23 point, let's say 58. So 23.58 degrees. Okay, so that is definitely one possibility. And now I'm going to try to find the other possibility. Okay, so to find the other possibility, okay, so find other B. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take 180 minus this to see what I get, 23.58, and I end up getting 180 minus, let me come take this, I end up getting 156.42. So I get 156.42 degrees. But if I pay attention to this angle here, plus this one, together, this is more than 180. That's the problem. Up here, when I got my 126 as a possibility, and my 30, and I added these together, it didn't make more than 180. Okay, it made 156.87. I still had enough that I could get an angle for C. Here, I cannot get an angle for C because I've already used more than the 180. Okay, so this is not going to be a triangle. So since my 156.42 plus my 30 is already more than 180, not a triangle, okay? Not a triangle. Let me squeeze this in here. So in this case, we're only going to have one possibility. This one here is no, that one's not going to work. So we only get one. The last one we got two, this one we got one. So I'm going to do another example. Again, keeping these two the same, I'm just going to change the length of this. I'm going to make this smaller than, I had a 10, I have a 20, now let's make it a 7. Okay, so again, I'm going to find angle B, and I'm going to have this be A, B, C. This, again, is a 30 degrees. This will keep it as a 16. This time we'll go smaller. So we tried 10, which gave me 2. We tried 20, which gave me 1. Now I'm going to try 7, which is smaller than the smallest length so far. And let's see what happens. And again, we have side angle each of these times. And we know this and this. So we have opposite angle and side. So we can use law of sines. So I'm going to set it up one more time. Sine of 30 degrees over 7 this time equals sine of B, still over 16. Cross multiply. So I'm going to get 7 sine B equals 16 sine 30. I'm going to divide by the 7. And then again, to find the angle B, I'm going to take sine inverse. And let's see what happens with this. So I'm going to put that in my calculator. Again, always making sure your calculator's in degrees. I'm going to come and take this one right here. Okay, and I need to change that 20 this time to a 7. Okay, and I get error. Okay, I get error. So it says value entered is not allowed in the function or the command. Now the reason is if I was to take just this piece right here, so what before I do the sine inverse, sorry, I get 16 sine of 30 over 7. And this gives me, I ended up with 8 sevenths. This gives me something more than 1. And what you might have seen and integrated to is that sine and cosine, the maximum over B is 1. They will never be more than 1. They're always between 1 and -1. And part of that reason is if you think about sine, same with cosine, but SOHCAHTOA, SOHCAHTOA. So sine of an angle, I'm just going to call it theta, is opposite over hypotenuse. Your hypotenuse is always the biggest side, okay? So this is the biggest side. So if this is the biggest side, then it's impossible for this to be more than 1 because this number is bigger than this number. So this is smaller. So I don't have more than my denominator. I'm not going to have more than 1. Same idea with cosine because cosine is adjacent over, again, hypotenuse. And hypotenuse is always the biggest number. So this cannot be more than 1. Never will be more than 1. Okay, so this was error. So in this case, we ended up with no triangle. This was an impossible situation. So again, you might end up with 2 triangles, you might end up with 1 triangle, or in this case, we ended up with no triangles.